إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده ربي لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد إخوتي في الله We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His countless favors that He has bestowed upon us. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. And if you were to count the favors of Allah, you wouldn't be able to number them. No doubt the greatest of the favors is the ni'mah of Islam. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeatedly for facilitating this rihla, this trip here to California, here to Oakland, or San Leandro, and other than that, to Porterville, and all that occurred. Al-Fadl lillahi wahda, lillahi alhamdu wahda, wa lahu shukru wahda. All the praises to Allah, and the thanks and appreciation is to Him, the Most High, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Afterwards, I would like to thank those responsible for putting this rihla da'wiyah, this trip for the purposes of propagation of the religion of Islam. Those responsible for putting this together, may Allah reward them. And those who participated, and those who cooperated, and those who attended. And the likes of these jalasat, the likes of these sittings are extremely important in the life of the Muslim. Whether he be wherever he is in the world, whether he be in an Islamic country or a Kafir country, these sittings are necessary. And it's important that we visit one another. At-tazawur laha fawaid azima. Visiting one another has a lot of benefits. And in general, this is something that we lack here in America, visiting one another. Today, it was requested for me to speak briefly about my trip in seeking ilm, which, inshallah, we'll speak about it tonight. من باب التواضع, من باب الفائدة. I remember when we were in Damaj, وزارنا الشيخ أحمد النجمي رحمه الله تعالى. We were in Damaj, and the Sheikh Ahmed al-Najmi visited us, and he was very elderly, very elderly. He walked extremely slowly. And it was a section of questions and answers. And they asked him about طلبه للعلم في البداية. How was the beginning of him seeking ilm? And who was the mashayikh that he studied from? And him, in his elderly age, rahimahullah, قال ما أنتم عليه أفضل السؤال الثاني. He said that what you're all upon is better. What's the next question? He refused to answer the question. نعم فأحرجتموني. نعم, I feel uncomfortable speaking about it. ولكن لعل الله يجعل فيه بركة وخير وفائدة. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might in it benefit. Na'am. Before I begin, I just spoke about at-tazawur. This is something that is vibrant in Yemen. Ya laha min ni'mah la ra'aytaha bi'aynik la dharafat al-uyun. Na'am. التزاور في اليمن شيء عظيم عظيم The visiting of one another in Yemen is something that words can't describe. Somebody go from the western side, the northern side of Yemen to the southern side, from the east to the west. Days. Masjid after masjid after masjid after masjid after masjid. Na'am. Masafat, long distances. Na'am. A week of travel. Just from masjid, just to masjid after masjid. Na'am. I remember being in certain masjids when we're in Sayoun. The ones that will go, when the sheikh will go to another masjid to speak, it's not just the sheikh and his entourage, and the sheikh and his guards. The whole entire masjid will go except the mu'adhin. Everybody would leave. All the children, everybody. The visit would be a visit of 70 people, 80 people. The sheikh and all his students visit. Not just a couple of people with the sheikh. Every single body. Elderly, the young. Now, وما يحصل من البشاشة والمحبة, that which occurs from happiness when you see your brother from that other location. ما يحصل للقلوب, that what happens to the hearts, love and unity and togetherness, is saying is something azim. وهو يربط القلوب, it ties the hearts together. And this is what we're in need. A lot of things that we suffer from, it goes back to qaswat al-qulub. It goes back to our hearts become hardened because of that concrete jungle that we live in. We live in a hard world. It's harsh. Na'am. But before speaking about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by His mercy and His permission, enabled me on seeking ilm, I want to speak in general about seeking ilm. Every Muslim is talib ilm. Kullu wahad yatlub al-ilm. There's people that finished the Quran when they were in their 60s, in their 70s. Na'am. فَأَنْتَ حَافِظُ الْقُرْآنِ. You memorize the Quran. You. Na'am. Everybody's in the surah memorizing. فَقْرَؤُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Read and memorize that what you can. If you could do a half a page, do a half a page. If you could do a whole page, do a whole page. You could do a third of a page, do a third of a page. If you could do one line, do it. يكون معك في قبرك. It'll be with you in your grave. تفرح بها. وأنت فيها مس الحاجة إليها. You will rejoice with it on the day that you're in dire need of it. فمن seeking ilm, increases you in your religion, like we spoke yesterday. But it requires certain things, and we want to mention 3 or 4 things that seeking ilm requires. And of course, from the most important of them is al-ikhlas. And that is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Na'am. You're not doing this to be known, to be seen, or that your name will be mentioned. هذا ما ينفع. It doesn't benefit. نعم. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, he says, it comes from hadith Abi Hurairah في Muslim. قال الله تعالى أنا أغنى شركائي عن الشرك من عمل عملا أشرك فيه معي تركته وشركه. I'm the most free in need of shirk. I'm the most one in free of shirk. Whoever does a deed and associates a partner with me, I have left him and his deen. Lord Allah khadalak ant makhdhul khasir. If Allah abandons you and leaves you, what are you going to do? I'm khasir. You're a loser. You're a loser from the bidayah. So don't have anything in your head other than Allah when you're seeking ilm. It's for Allah. And the shaykh and the ulama, they are a way for you to grab ilm, but it's not for them. They're not the ghaya, they're wasila. They're the path that we use to go through in order to acquire ilm. It's not for them. They get close to them, and that they know your name, and that they know your face, and they speak of you in khair. هذا ينفع قليل يا أخي. It only benefits a little bit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's your goal. Keep your eyes on the prize. Na'am. That is for Allah. So it's been mentioned in the statement of Sufyan al-Thawri and other than him that he said, طلبنا العلم لغير الله فأبى إلا أن يكون له. We sought ilm for other than Allah. Our niyyah, our intentions was for other than Allah. Allah refused. Allah refused to give us any tawfiq, give us any success in it, except that it be for Him. So when you find hardships and you find troubles, akhlis niyyatik. When somebody's seeking ilm, he has to renew. You have to tujaddid niyyatik kullahin. You have to renew it. وإخلاصك يحتاج إلى إخلاص. Your sincerity needs sincerity. And you have to renew your sincerity. Because knowledge, more knowledge comes to you, and more ideas, and more the reality of what knowledge comes, it increases your ikhlas. So when you get there, you can't be on that old 2 months niyyah that you had 2 months ago. Now you have more information, you have more strength. You're going to renew your niyyah, and renew your niyyah, and renew your intentions. There's 3 other things I want to talk about briefly that is necessary in general and in seeking ilm. And these things are ever important because of the things that happen in abundance that cause them, that necessitate them. And these 3 things are sabrun and shukr wal istighfar. You need sabrun. Why you need sabrun a lot? Because Allah yamtahanak. Because Allah tries you with hardships. And why do you need shukr to be shakir all the time? Because Allah always gives you ni'mah all the time. So you have to always be sabir. You have to always be shakir. Well, istighfar, why? As known why. Because you fall into sin a lot. فأنت الصابر الشاكر المستغفر دائما وأبدا دأبك شأنك. هذا شأنك. ما تفارق الصبر والشكر والاستغفار. You don't leave that thing. That's you. All the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يقول وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. We test you. نَبْلُوكُمْ بَلَى. We test you with shar, with evil, and with khair, and with goodness. وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. To us is your return. We're going to hold you accountable for these tests that we're giving you. It's a test, and we're going to hold you accountable. See how you did. I mentioned before, when somebody takes a blood test, what's the blood test for? It's checking his sugar. It's checking his iron, his hadid. It's checking something. Takes a urine test. It's checking something. Now, what's the test when Allah tests you with hardship? نَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ. He tests you with hardship. What is he testing? Your sabran. He's testing your sabran. You're going to pass or you're going to fail. All of it is a test. That when he tests you with goodness, what is he testing? Your appreciation. Everything that comes to you from goodness is a test. Are you going to pass the test? No, beforehand, before it comes. كما قال سليمان عليه الصلاة والسلام فلما رآه مستقرا عنده قال هذا من فضل ربي ليبلوني أأشكر أم أكفر. When Sulaiman saw this throne directly in front of him, he said, this is from the goodness of my Lord to test me. Am I going to be thankful or unthankful? So these are things that we have to keep in mind all the time. All the time. Have to be patient. Because we're trial. We have trials and tribulations all the time. When you go seek ilm, the weather changes, food changes, your home changes, your people change. There's a lot of things that change. Don't think that's not going to, it's not going to cause you anxiety, cause you depression, cause you hardship. Nuh-uh. Then on top of that, you have to seek ilm, you have classes, it's a whole new thing. You're going to, sometimes a lot of people, they become sick. Your money, it runs out. It's a test. It's a test in itself. Nuh-uh. But on the other side, you have to be thankful. Nuh-uh. So these are two things that you have to keep in mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَلَإِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. And if your Lord Allah announced this, that if you're thankful, I will increase you. I will increase you. No. And if you're not thankful, rarely my punishment is severe. That's a threat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you feel threatened? Are you afraid? Allah threatens you. If you're not thankful, my punishment is severe. That's a threat. No. So we have to always try to be thankful for the ni'mah of Allah. And this was shaitan, he wants us to be unthankful. قال رب بما أغويتني لأقعدن لهم صراطك المستقيم. Due to the fact that you have led me astray, I'm going to wait for them on your straight path. ثم لآتينهم من بين أيديهم ومن خلفهم. I'm going to come to them from that which is in front of them and that which is behind them. In front of them, Amar al-Akhirah, Umur al-Akhirah, the things in the hereafter. And you just get this dunya. That hereafter and that stuff, put that off for later. You go get paid. وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ, and that in the affairs of this world. وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ, in the affairs of the religion. وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ, for the haram, صريح, that which is haram. وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. هذا شيطان يحددك بهذا الشيء. He's not talking to you with that kalam. That's not kalam fadi. هو يخاطب الله بهذا الكلام. هذا ما هو كلام فاضي. That's not just some vain talk. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. When I see you on the corner, I'm going to do this to you. No. Shaitan يخاطب Allah. Shaitan's talking to Allah. وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. You're not going to find most of them thankful. Nah. And also the istighfar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, in Hadith Qudsi, Ya ibadi, innakum tukhti'un fil layli wan nahar, wa ana aghfiru dhunuba jami'an, fastaghfiruni aghfir lakum. We sin by day and by night. So while you're seeking ilm, you have to always strive to be patient. You have to always strive to be thankful. And the sign of thankfulness is what? Is obedience to Allah. And you always have to seek forgiveness for Allah. The sign of thankfulness is an ibadah that you do with your tongue, and you do with your heart, and you do with your body parts. The dalil and the proof of thankfulness is obedience to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يقول اعملوا آل داود شكرا وقليل من عبادي الشكور. اعملوا آل داود شكرا. Do good deeds, O family of Dawood, out of appreciation to Allah. وقليل من عبادي الشكور. And only a little bit of my servants are thankful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about Iblis when He said what He's going to do to them. وَلَقَدْ صَدَّقَ عَلَيْهِمْ إِبْلِيسُ ظَنَّ. Iblis proved his dhann. He had a dhann. وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. وَلَقَدْ صَدَّقَ عَلَيْهِمْ إِبْلِيسُ ظَنَّهُ فَاتَّبَعُوهُ إِلَّا فَرِيقٌ مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Iblis proved his assumption. فَاتَّبَعُوهُ إِلَّا فَرِيقًا مِّنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. All of them followed him except a small group from the believers. He proved his point. None. So we have to always try to be thankful. We have to always try to be patient and always make istighfar. Don't wait till the dhanb comes, until you make a mistake, until you fall into sin, to make istighfar. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا أيها الناس توبوا إلى الله واستغفروه فإني أتوب في اليوم 100 مرة. O mankind, repent to your Lord and seek his forgiveness. Verily, I repent to Allah 100 times in a day. So make istighfar, make istighfar. So when you fall into a sin, you make istighfar immediately. Make it immediately for that which is small, that which is big. There's nothing too big for you to turn back to Allah. No matter what it is, get back up. Everybody falls into sin, but get back up and make tawbah, no matter what it is. And inshallah, it's going to come to a day, it's going to come a day that as you continuously fall into sin and then make istighfar, and you fall into sin, then you make a tawbah, there's going to come a day that your tawbah precedes your sin, and you left the sin. And all you do is make tawbah, and you've left the sin. Lastly, there are certain things that attack somebody's religion in general, and there are certain things that harm talabatul ilm. Wahsh. It's a wahsh. Muftaris. It attacks him. He may have been seeking ilm for years. This is in general, but we're talking about seeking ilm. He may have been seeking ilm for years. He may have memorized and done this and wrote that. These two wahush, two wahsh, muftaris, they attack him. As if they sent on him, he's not aware, and they eat him up, no matter what he achieves. حب الدنيا وحب الشهرة. نعم. حب الدنيا والحب الشهرة والشهرة ذئبان. It's two wolves sent upon the righteous. When they're upon righteousness, but they change their andar and they look somewhere else and they start desiring money and rif'ah. Man rafa'a nafsahu saqat. Whoever tries to uplift himself and make himself on top, he falls down. Ar-rif'ahu min Allah. Ar-rif'atu min Allah. Allah raises up who he pleases. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ضرب أحسن أمثلة على هذا. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما أخرجه الترمذي من حديث كعب بن مالك: ما ذئبان جائعان أرسلا على غنم بأفسد لها من حرص المرء على المال والشرف لدينه. ما ذئبان جائعان. There's no two wolves. Ursila. They've been sent on a pack of wolves. This is not more damaging than what somebody does to their religion. Chasing after money and fame. Imagine two wolves sent on a pack of sheep, ghanim, goats. When the Prophet said Ursila, this is an example. When it says Ursila, bima'na hubis. They were held back. And this is Talib, he's holding back his desire for money. Holding back his desire. And if he just lets it go, it's going to come out. Now, these two wolves are being held back all this time. There's a pack of sheep over there. These two wolves. Madhiban Ja'ian. Two hungry wolves. They've been held to the point that they're hungry. Ursila ala ghanamin. They've been sent on ghanam. Ghanam is just sitting there minding their business. MashaAllah, ni'mah. In an an'am. Just imagine the chaos, the fawda, screaming,
how are they going to be acting? It's going to eat in them. It's going to kill them. It's going to be blood. It's going to be fear. It's going to be fitna. And this is what happens to the talib al-ilm. Mahma balak. No matter how much he has sick, no how big he is, no matter how known he is, when he starts chasing dunya, starts chasing money, and starts chasing fame, saqat. Na'am. This is a big example that the Prophet ﷺ gave. Na'am. Ma fi aib, there's no aib, there's no shame that a talib al-ilm works. Na'am. ولكن بضاعته ما هو المسلمين بضاعته ما هو العلم. There's nothing aib, there's nothing wrong that a Muslim, talib al-ilm, get up every day and work. But the items that he sells is not nasiha. He doesn't sell, you have a problem with your wife? Okay, I'll advise you, it's going to cost you $200. ايش من نصيحة هذا يا أخي. He doesn't sell ilm. Doesn't sell durus. Doesn't start looking at in the masjid, how can I get some money in here? Let me see. Maybe I could open a class. Maybe I could do some janazah services. When we have a janazah, it will be one price. You'll have two bodies. I'll give you a special price for two bodies. Now you can't start looking like that because shaitan to play with him. Play with him. Questions and answers. If you have an emergency question, I'll give you my direct line, but it's going to cost you a little bit. No, you go somewhere else. It's halal. Shut up. Let somebody get up and work. That's tayyib, not fi aib. Nah. But al-Muslimun wal-ilm laysa bida'ah. It's not an item that you sell. Don't look at it like that. No. Open up, sell some French fries. Anything is halal. Shut up. No. فهذا الذي أنصح لكم. Here in these two messages here is ni'mah. And هذا بفضل الله. And y'all have to take advantage of that. There's general classes. There's also private classes. Na'am. And in the private classes, this is how ilm is established. Al-muhadarat, the lectures, that's a general benefit for all the Muslims. It's an encouragement for them. Na'am. It's to push them to khayr, push them towards good, and pull them back from evil. Na'am. But ilm, when you want to establish ilm and learn ilm, it takes classes. You have to come with a notebook. You have to have a pen. You have to review. And the best classes are those that are every day. It enables it to sink in and to be understood and to be grasped very well. So it's upon you all to take advantage of that. Try to have a class in your life. Don't live like that. Don't live like that. وأنت جاهل في أمور الدين. لا ترضى لنفسك جاهل. Don't be pleased with yourself that you don't know. فلو كنت تطوف بالكعبة, for example, you're walking around the Kaaba. Somebody comes to you from Pakistan, from Russia, from Japan. Says, Ya akhi, I'm going to ask you a question. My father died. And he left 2 girls and a son and my mother. What's the portion that my mother gets? And you say, what I look like? I look like a sheikh? I don't know. I'm like, subhanAllah, this guy came all the way from Japan. And he asked me. And I'm going to tell him, I don't know. No. هل عندكم بنات؟ هل عندكم أمهات؟ You have to know. You have to know this. You have أمهات. You have بنات. هذا علم. نعم. هذا علم. have to know these things. Al-Maut, tajri fina. Maut runs through us. These kind of ahkam we have to know. We have to know. لا ترضى لأنفسكم الجهل عدم المعرفة. Don't be pleased. Don't settle with this. Don't accept this. And think that ilm is just something for the mashayikh and we just live under them. No, ilm is for everybody. Ilm is for everybody. So, bi'idhnillah, when I wanted to seek ilm, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we chose Yemen. And Yemen has a fadl over other than it because of the marakas that are there. And all of it is from Allah. All of it is ni'mah. It's just that the al-marakas, they have ni'am yatamayyiz biha. They have favors that the marakas in the learning centers in Yemen, that they're distinguished by. When I went to seek I was 29, 30 years old. And the universities, they don't accept somebody at that age. Now, I have my family with me. This is the ni'mah of the marakas. That you can go, you're accepted. You don't need a letter. I don't need a resume. I don't need all these other preliminary things. You go, if you get there, you're accepted. Now, alhamdulillah, I left to seek ilm in 1999 by the permission of Allah and by the aid of Allah. And during that time, a lot of people were going to Saudi and they benefited. And it was a good place to go. And people were going to Egypt and it was a good place to go. And a little bit of people were going to Yemen. And I remember when I was going to Yemen, they were saying, why are you going to Yemen? There's no asphalt on the ground. There's only dirt roads. And I was like, I'm not going there for the roads. I want to study there, But in reality, I chose Yemen. I had some Yemeni friends that were advising me to go there because I knew that the cost of living was less. It's one of the things that I had in mind. Takalif al-ma'isha aqal, la shak. And al-Marakiz in Yemen, they take care of the students. Ala qadr al-hal, on the level that they can. But the barakah is from Allah. The single students, they stay in the masjid or they stay wherever is prepared for them. وَيَأْكُلُونَ الْحَاصِلِ, they eat whatever is given to them. Some people make jokes, and it's not appropriate. They might say, like, even the flies in Yemen feed you. Even the flies in Yemen are skinny. Tayyib, tell me about the flies in the time of the Prophet. أتحداك أن تستهزئ بالذباب في زمن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. أتحداك. أتعدم. نحن في نعمة. نحن في طلب العلم. How can you make a joke about faqr, about diq al-hal? How can you make a joke about this? People in talab al-ilm. It's not suitable. قال عمر رضي الله عنه وجدنا خير عيشنا في الصبر. The best life that we enjoyed was during the hard times when we were patient. And anybody that was in the Damaj will find the likes of that. So I left in 1999, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy and made it possible for me to get there. The money that I came with ended in 3 months. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Kareem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Kareem. When I got to Yemen, I concentrated on Arabic. I wasn't able to speak Arabic. Just a little bit. I concentrated on Arabic. Even after I was able to understand Sheikh Muqbil, rahimahullah ta'ala, I was with Sheikh Muqbil in Damaj for about a year and 3 months, a year and 4 months, before he became ill. One day Sheikh Muqbil, rahimahullah,
and the Marakas in Yemen, most of them run their Marakas, their schools, that they have a class, a general class after Dhuhr, and a general class after Asr, and a general class between Maghrib and Isha. That's general. Some schools might have it after Isha, after Maghrib, but that's the general format. So one day we came to the masjid at Dhuhr to study, and he had traveled. He traveled, he traveled getting treatment in Saudi, and he traveled to Germany, and he traveled to America, and California. And he was gone for over a year. He never came back to Damaj. He came back to Yemen, but he never came back to Damaj until he passed away, rahimahullah ta'ala. And I benefited a lot from him. And I was sharing with the brothers previously that I'm from the South Bronx. Now, alhamdulillah, my mother and my father are Muslim. My father died, rahimahullah, when I was about 1.5 years old. And one thing I didn't know هو الاحترام للكبير. When I say I didn't know احترام كبير, meaning شرفهم, I didn't know their position, I didn't know their rank. And when I got to the marriage, I couldn't, my understanding, my mind wouldn't accept that this sheikh was more memorized and sharper than the shabab, than the youth. I just couldn't accept it. So I would see the sheikh ask some questions. Hadith. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال كذا وكذا وكذا وكذا. من صحابي. من أخرجه. ما حاله. Who's the companion of this hadith? What book narrated this? And what's the hal of the hadith? Somebody go, and Abi Hurairah call, Ijlis, sit down, be quiet. And this is هذا أسلوب. Ijlis, uskut. Nah. I would think that maybe he's not sure himself. I was thinking maybe the sheikh, he's not sure himself. Somebody say Abu Hurairah, he goes, nah, Ijlis. Until somebody says something that makes him remember that it's right. Ibn Abbas goes, Naam, yes, you're right. That's a sort of learning that was in me. I couldn't understand that somebody elderly would be sharper, more memorized than somebody younger. I'm coming from basketball and football. Everything is just muscle in my world. Until two experiences that I saw from the sheikh. One time he asked, for example, he asked about a hadith. Who's the sahabi of this hadith? Somebody said Abu Hurairah. قال اجلس. Somebody said Abu Hurairah. اجلس. Sit down. If you get the wrong answer, the sheikh says uskut, ijlis, be quiet, sit down. Somebody else said, Sheikh, it's Abu Hurairah, ijlis. Every time the sheikh asks a question, the newer students, they answer first, and when they don't get the answer, the older students, they come behind, and they come with the correct answer. Now the older students are starting to come, and they're speaking, they're saying, Ya Sheikh, it's Abu Hurairah, ijlis. And you see the kibar students, ijlis. Some of the bigger students, they're saying, it's Abu Hurairah, ijlis, ijlis, ajlasahum kullun. So he called to check the book that is in. He said, in my opinion, this is an example. He said, I know it to be from Hadith Ibn Abbas, I can check. So he went to check, and he bought the book, and it was on Ibn Abbas, like he said, فَقَالَ لَمَّا رَأَيْتُ كَثْرَتُكُمْ أَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَتَغَيَّرْ إلى جوابكم لكن لي لا أتزعزع وتأثرت من هذه الكلمة كثير تأثرت كثيرا من هذه الكلمة أنا قلت هذا شيخ حق. He said, when I saw all these numbers and I saw all of them saying Abu Hurairah, I wanted to change my opinion in myself and say and follow them.
But I don't change my mind. I stay thabit on what I'm on. Nah. Alhamdulillah, استفدنا منه رحمه الله تعالى خيرا كثيرا. And after, when the Sheikh left for ta'alij, to get treatment, Sheikh Yahya ibn Ali al-Hajuri, hafidhahullah ta'ala, he took his place. Na'am. Which he thought at that time was just going to be something temporary. We were all expecting the Sheikh to come back. Na'am. And I benefited tremendously for years after with Sheikh Yahya. Benefited tremendously. Na'am. Akthar al-istifada, most of my istifada was from him, rahimahullah, hafidhahullah ta'ala. But then in the marriage also, there are private classes. Na'am. And I used to concentrate in Arabic, not just in the speaking. When I reached the marriage, alhamdulillah, I was understanding a lot. I didn't come directly. I stayed in Sana'a for some time, trying to get my Arabic together. But when I got to the marriage, I just did Arabic and Quran. And a talib al-ilm, when he seeks ilm, he has to have, the first couple of years, he has to concentrate on hifz, on memorization. Just from our anxiousness to study, some people take a lot of classes. They might take 5 classes. They might take 4 classes. But what a student needs to do is take 1 class. Because first of all, he has 3 general classes is mandatory to attend. For we in the masjid would teach at Dhuhr, Sheikh used to teach at Dhuhr, Ibn Kathir, Tafsir, one day, and another day, Jam al-Sahih. So that would be the class that's at Dhuhr. Na'am. At Asr every day, Sahih Bukhari. And at night, every night, Sahih Muslim. Those classes are mandatory. Na'am. When you're sitting in the class, you fahmi, you write down the benefits that concerns fahmi. That's on your level. That makes your eyebrow go up and go, wow, that's strange. You write that down. You, Jamal, you write alladhi yu'jibuk anta. You write from the Shaykh, that's concerning you. You cannot write everything the Shaykh does, Umar. You can't write everything. You write, you see that which you're at and the level that you have a notebook. If anybody had a notebook that was like 20 pages or 30 pages, that's like he's la'ab. He's a jokester. You have a Abu Miyatain. You have a hard notebook that's 200 pages. And you section it off. You have a fawaid that you write in, benefits that's connected to aqidah. And some that's just connected to general information. Some are connected to another situation. Just to save space, some of the students would take their notebook and they would bend the paper in half and draw a line down the middle and write all their benefits on this side, just to save the space. Because if they took up the whole line, it would leave another half a line. Then they would go down and leave another half a line. How many half a lines would they leave? So they would take the paper and fold it in half and put a line down the middle and then start writing there for why. Now, what I preferred, if I had Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim, all of these books in Ibn Kathir, if you look closely, the first 2 pages and the last pages are empty pages of the book. They're blank pages. Now, you have a nice fine point pen. A pencil, it rubs off years later. Nice dark writing pen, fine point, it writes smallly. And you have your yellow highlighter. So when you're in the middle of these books, like you're in the middle of the Bahar, you're never going to reach there again. You only got to this place in Ibn Kathir, 4, 5, 6 volumes, majalladat. You only got there because you're constantly there 2, 3 years and you're following along. Other than that, you would never be there. and you come across something that's very interesting. You take your yellow pen out and you highlight it. It's on page 342. And you go back to the beginning of the book where it has that blank page, and you write on page 342, Ibn Kathir said, blah, blah, blah. Now, so when you go back and you look at the front of your book, from you sitting there for years, you just see Fawaid. On page number 70, he said this. On page number 400, he said this. On page 100, you forgot. Now, but you record it. It's better than having what? A notebook. Because the notebook gets lost. The notebook doesn't stay with the book. Now, the same thing in your Bukhari. You just happen to be on hadith number 3,788 because you happen to be in the class. If it wasn't for that class, you would have never been there. Then you have not just Bukhari by itself, you might have it with the Sharh of Fath al-Bari. So when you're reading in it, and the same thing with Sahih Muslim, most people get Sahih Muslim with the Sharh of An-Nawawi. When you're reading it and you see something in the Sharh that's interesting to you, you're going to take out your yellow pen, you're going to highlight it, you're going to go to the back of the book where it has that blank paper, and you're going to put on page number 46, Imam Nawawi said such and such and such. Other benefits that are particular for you, like the names of certain ruwah, and who narrated on who, and the reason why this hadith is da'if, write that in your personal notebook. There are classes that somebody, when he studies, they have to get what you call it. You have the ilm al-ala, or you have the ilm al-ghaya. You have some mawad, some topics, some ulum. They're the building blocks of your studies. Like nahu and sarf. I spent a lot of time doing nahu and sarf and taking one class, alhamdulillah, one class outside of the 3 classes that are mandatory. One class, because the rest of the time is in memorization of Quran. Memorization of Quran, I'm just going to touch on it in 5 minutes. It needs a strategy. You have to figure out first thing how much you can memorize in one sitting of like half an hour. How much can you handle? Can you do a whole page? Can you do a half a page? Can you do a third page? Whatever you can do. One of the best ways to memorize, they asked Imam al-Bukhari عن قوة حفظه فقال مداومة النظر. They asked Imam Bukhari about the strength of his, how his memory is so strong. He said, because I always look at it. Mudawamah an-nazar. I always look at it. Because you want the hadith or the ayat that you're memorizing to be impressed in your heart by way of your eye and your ear. Or your eye and your ear. So you want to look at it. There's different ways of memorizing. One of the best ways to memorize is to take what you're going to memorize. For example, if you're going to memorize Surah Al-Ikhlas, or maybe in another surah, whatever it may be, I'm just going to give an example with this because it's short. What I used to do is after Isha, I would prepare this page for memorization. I would prepare it for memorization. So I would read each ayat individually 6 times. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. I'm looking at it every time. And I hear myself reading it every time. I don't say this. And I don't say this. No, just keep it nice and clear. I'm just trying to memorize. Then I go to the next ayah 6 times. Allahu Samad, Allahu Samad, Allahu Samad. I'm looking at it all the time. Lam yalid wa lam yulad 6 times. Wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad 6 times. I go back to the top. Qul huwallahu ahad. I did 6 times. Now 5 times. I'm looking at it all the time. Qul huwallahu ahad. I'm looking at it. Qul huwallahu ahad. Qul huwa Allahu samad 5 times. Lam yalid wa lam yulad 5 times. Wa lam yakul lahu 5 times. Go back up to the top. Now start with 4 times. I'm looking at it every time with sound. Every time. I don't take my eye off the page one time. One time. Have the book in front of me. I start with 4 times. Qul huwallahu ahad. Qul huwallahu ahad. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu samad. That's 4 times. Work it all the way down to the bottom. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Read that 4 times. Go back up to the top. I'm gonna start with 3 times. But now I feel I know it. But we want it still stronger. Start with 3 times. I don't close the book. Some people, they're against their own selves. They read 1 time, they close it. They don't let themselves tashba' minhu. Khalik tashba' tamaman. Leave it open. Get a full vision of it. Go 3 times, 3 times, 3 times, 3 times, 3 times, 3 times. Go back up to the top. Now, you sure from it. Still you're going to go 2 times, 2 times, 2 times, 2 times, 2 times. Then when you go 1 time, you're going to read the surah, all of it 6 times. When I did all of that, I close the book, I go home and go to sleep. So at Fajr I will come, I will read the surah or the page that I'm on 2 times. Then from the first time, I will close the book and see if I have it. I just have to read it 2-3 times and see if I have it. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yak. If there's a mistake on it, you're going to open up that book and you're going to get rid of this mistake one time for all. Where's this ayat that's giving me this problem? وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا. You're going to read it 10 times, 15 times. I'm not falling here no more. You're going to open up that book. Where's how to keep making a mistake on it? Some people have what's called khatu ad-dahr. Every time they get to that ayat, they fall down. Every time. Khatu ad-dahr. They always make it. They never take the time to get it straight. So when you get in the straight, if you have a problem, you find yourself to have a problem, don't cheat yourself and look 1 time. No, you had a shubha. It's not enough. You want to rid yourself from it totally. You're going to go back and say, Lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad, wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad, wa lam yakun. You can get it down. Then you're going to take this thing, you're going to try it again. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid, lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. You got it. Now you're going to start memorizing it. Some people say once they do that 1 time, they memorized it. No, that's not sufficient. So now, all the time before the book was open, now the book is closed. No book. The book is over there. You're going to sit there and you're just going to read this surah. I didn't like to do it the times, 50 times, 100 times, 500 times. I just do it by the clock, 20 minutes. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. 20 minutes on this page, wherever I'm at. No book. Don't even pick it up. Don't even have it next to you. Don't even open it up. No book. No mushaf. I want to get it down. Get it down. Some people are giving an example of the dhakira, of the memory of man. It's like your phone. Your phone has a dhakira, has a memory that's inside the phone. It has a memory that's on the chip. Now, you can either put the memory, you can memorize it on your CD card, on your chip, or on the phone. That what you get when you just get it the first time, and you got it straight, that's just on the CD. It's not inside you yet. But when you sit there and you go over and over and over it, you moved it from that little chip into you. I mean, now if you stopped here, that first one, when you read it 1 time, was correct. After 72 hours, that the memorization, that when you get it 1 time, you stop, 72 hours and it's gone. 4 days, but this other one, when you sit there and you get it, it stays. So this is what's important when somebody is seeking ilm, that he has what? Memorization. After he finishes the Quran, he start whatever he sees suitable for him. Whether it be Umdatul Ahkam, which is about 500 hadiths, Riyadh al-Salihin, which was more beloved to me, but it's a small book compared to Bukhari and compared to Muslim. Somebody knows their capability that they have within themselves. Na'am. He knows the patience that he has. But some of the people, they memorized Umdatul Ahkam. Umdatul Ahkam is only Bukhari and Muslim. Then they do Bulugh al-Maram. Then they do Riyadh al-Salihin. So when you have Riyadh al-Salihin, for example, and Bulugh al-Maram, Riyadh al-Salihin has like 1,000 hadiths from Sahih Muslim. So it's like you simplified yourself Sahih Muslim. So now when you memorize these books and then you go to memorize Sahih Muslim, you have memorized a good, great portion of it already. Or if you want to start with it, ala tool, you would just want to start with it, it's up to you. It's all good. So when you're memorizing Jamal, you're memorizing Umdatul Ahkam, you could do Umdatul Ahkam, you could do Bulugh al-Maram, you could do Riyadh al-Salihin, it's all good. But when you're doing Umdatul Ahkam, and you're in the middle of it, you reach hadith number 150. Somebody comes to you and goes, you're doing Umdatul Ahkam? You should have done Bulugh al-Maram. The ulama say, Bulugh al-Maram, you remember that? You'll be Imam. So you close the book. No, stay on what? It's all good. Don't let anybody come where you shut your cook and make you change your whole program. Somebody come and go, you doing Riyadh al-Salihin? The ulama, they say that Umdatul Ahkam is what you should start with. No, whatever you're on is good. And proceed. From the benefits that were at the Maracas is that our wives are able to benefit. I don't have to fill out an application. She has to get accepted to the women's program. It's a benefit kathir. A lot of the women, they benefited a lot. Very strong. Now I'm perfected certain ulum. Now I'm perfected it. And this is basically how we studied at the match. And I chose to go there by the permission of Allah. And the benefit of these places is that there's no age limit. There's no age limit. And one of the greatest benefits is that you study what you want to study. And it's a benefit over the jami'at. When you go to a school, they tell me, okay, you're from Radat, you're going to get this and that and this. Maybe you can't handle that. Maybe you can't handle that. You give us class at this time, class at 8 in the morning, class at such and such. You have another class at Asr. Then you might say, after Asr, I don't want to study. In the match, you could do whatever you want. So there was the action, but what should we study first? He said, Alladhi nafsuk tamil ilay. Whatever you like. So Sonny doesn't like Nahu. He doesn't like Nahu. You're going to make him study it now. And he doesn't like it. He's going to say, listen, he's going to enter it in it. He's going to have anxiety. He's going to have ghalaq. If something he doesn't understand, he's going to make it bigger than it is. He's just going to leave talabul ilm. He's going to leave. Because he's not benefiting. He says, I like tajweed. He take what he likes. I want to learn qat. Somebody learns rak'ah, nasakh. Once he starts getting this, he's going to man, my qat is good, but I got this down. I want to learn how to recite this. So when he's learning how to recite this, he's going to say, wow, this is going to push him to something else. Once he gets this down, he's going to like, I see sometimes it's Muslimin or Muslimun. I want to understand this. I want to understand why it's that. So each one is going to increase your interest in another knowledge according to what you want. And this is the benefit of the maracas. You study what you want when you want. Now, people come from different backgrounds, different areas. I rather have different backgrounds. Now, you want your class after Asr? You want a morning class? You don't want to memorize this. You want to memorize from Bukhari. You want to start from Baqarah. You want to start from Nas. Or, as long as you're moving once you're advancing. But this kind of openness and hurriya in ilm is why it advances. And people advance. The iqbal, and I advise all of you, if you go to Yemen, to visit the Marakiz Ilmiya. Whoever attends the Marakiz Ilmiya, the Shaykh used to say, Jalis an-nashitin. Sit next to the people who work hard. Even if you don't talk to them, just sit next to them. You will be affected. I used to sit next to some people, كنت أظنه أنه قطع حديد أنه ماكينة أنه يشرب ديزل من القوة. It was as if there was a machine, as if it was a motor. I had to see a brother from Hadramaut. By the time I get to the masjid, he's already there. He's Azubi. The people who are single, they're not married, they have a golden opportunity to get everything they can. They don't have responsibilities of family. They can sleep under a staircase. They can sleep on the roof. They can eat whatever comes. يتخشن. You can rough it. And this is the benefit. It's the benefit. So the ones who are single, this is how they benefit like that. Well, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us all in this. These are some of the benefits and the things that the student does when he seeks ilm. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May Allah elevate your status. Ameen. What advice do you have for parents and yours who want to raise their children upon the Quran and the Sunnah? Barakallahu feekum. These masajid, they are a ma'wa, they are a safe haven for the believers. They're a safe haven for the believers. And what somebody would do here or anywhere, no matter where they are, they have to stay with the Jama'at al-Muslimin. They have to be with the congregation of the Muslims. They have to be connected to the masjid. Some masjid, come in masjid, ma indaha durus. Come in masajid. They don't have classes. How many masjids don't have classes? So it's good to relocate and find a place that's suitable. A place that's suitable for learning. Keep your children in mind. Keep your work in mind. Keep all these things in mind. قال أحسن الله إليك ما من مراكز العلم التي تنصح بما طلب في اليمن. The schools that we advise with of going to in Yemen, al-Marakiz al-Ilmiya, and this is what I was talking about. If you go to Yemen, which all the Marakiz fiha baraka. I used to see strange things. I was talking about the brother, the Hadri brother. I would see him by the time I get to the masjid 10 o'clock in the morning, he's sitting in the front row. He would have Sahih Muslim in one volume. It's a big book. And he'd be memorizing. And he'd be sitting with his legs cross-legged with this book. At a certain time, he would stop, he would take out a clock, he would set it down and set it for 45 minutes or a half hour or an hour for him to sleep. And he would put the book down and he would lay down to sleep, but he wouldn't uncross his legs. He would keep them crossed like he was sitting like that. During the whole time his legs would be sit, and then the clock would go off and go beep, 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 and he would just come up with his legs still folded, open up the book, and he's back in it. And I would be like, subhanallah, what does he eat? The strength that they have. In the masjid, we used to have, the lights will go off at 10 o'clock. Just imagine a masjid full of students. The lights go off. When the lights go off, you have one light bulb in this corner, and light bulb in that corner, one light bulb in that corner. And you see the students like nahl, like bees. All of them turning their book that they have towards the light, and all you hear is that's all you hear. And over there you see it. It's something that describe. When you just see it, because it's no lights, just one light. Everybody's there. Just imagine the noise and the sound. Everybody's reading, some of them reading this story, some of them reading the book, some of them reading. Some of the students, they would sit so long that they get tired. So they would walk around in the masjid. Some of them, they picked it up as a habit. So once Fajr is over, they say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Everybody finished their adhkars. You see one brother walking, you see another brother walking, you see another brother walking. Then until you just see a wave of people moving. Some people are going in and out and in. Some of them are doing review. He's reading to one another. He's behind him. He's reading. Somebody have the Bukhari open and they're walking. You're like, if you was in mid-Manhattan, if you're in the middle of Manhattan, it's a sight for sore eyes. It's something that you can't believe. It's something you can't believe. But when you sit there with them and you don't have that energy, this what encourages you. And they sit there and they memorize. They يأكل العلم أكلا. They eat it. They benefit. And Damaj, when we're in Damaj, whoever memorizes Quran and Riyadh al-Salihin, anta mubtadi', you're a beginner. That's no big fadila. That's nothing. That's nothing. So it's good to go to these marakas and just visit. فيه نعمة فيه خير كثير. And the tulab, they يصبرون على القلة. Their hands, this right hand like here, this is their cup. You come to the Hanafi, you come to the faucet, and drink out of your hand. That's what you get. It's no chai, it's no Kool-Aid, it's no orange juice. Drink water. No cake. For breakfast, they have beans. Now, you can't tilt the tray too much because it'll just fly out. That's how watery that it used to be. This is how it was in the beginning. Later on, things did get better, but still beans. It's a little thicker, that's all. Now, meat was something rare. Like if there was a wedding, they would invite the single students because they wouldn't see meat. They wouldn't see meat. Some people don't have soap to wash their clothes. Just wash it. You have to try to, you dabbir nafsak. You have to do what you have to do. At lunch, rice with hidam on top of it. With potatoes on top of it. No food is put down until the circles, the halaqat are ready for food. Each halaqah has to have 10 people. If this is still 9, they're not going to get any food. They ain't going to get any. Each one has to have 10 in it. When it's always 10, then they start coming out with the food. Pop, 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 pop. They put it down. You put your hand in there 5, 6 times and it's gone. It's gone. But it's barakah. It's barakah. They have like a worker that works in the kitchen and he gets paid for his work. He's just a general person in the kitchen. But everybody has a day in the kitchen. Today, the people of Sana'a, they have to cut the onions and cut the potatoes and they have to bring the rice and they have to do this and they have to clean the dishes. Next day, the people from Musab. Next day, it's the people from Aden. Next day is the Ghuraba from Russia. Next day is the people. They run the markaz. We don't have to pay workers to clean the masjid. This week the masjid is on the people from Zamar. Next week is from the people from such and such. You feel like it's your markaz. And it's something to see. And the same thing on the women's side. They have classes for women, and the women teach. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sallallahu alaykum wa iyyakum. هل يجوز للإنسان طالب الأمر I think the person's asking, is it permissible to go to Talib al-Ilm without approval of his parents? No, he doesn't have the ridha of his parents. This question is asked a lot. And if somebody's the only child and their parents are in need of them, then they can't leave their parents. If they're the only child and their parents are in need of them. But other than that, they can go. And they should try to say a statement to please their parents. When you daddy him, say, yes, I'm here. Inshallah, I'm going to be here. And soon as we finish this class, inshallah, we'll try to finish this class and then I'll come home. They just open up another class. Inshallah, I'll be there soon. Try to visit their parents on the days of the Eid. Try to do that. But if the parents are in need of a son, he's the only son, then he has to take care of his parents. He has to take care of. Other than that, then he should try to go and seek ilm. And try to... This is a thing that was with many of the people from Yemen. A lot of them, their parents weren't in favor that they were seeking them. A lot of them left the jami'at and they left colleges. And they sought ilm. And maybe they didn't find with that the rida of their family. They said, you left medicine school, what are you going to be? You're going to be a mu'adhin? What are you going to be? And then they make small of what that they do. So this is something that's very, very difficult on them, to seek ilm without the rida of your parents. I don't think that is not easy. I don't think it's easy. It's very difficult. So you have to try to give them a kalima that's tayyib. Try to give them a kalima that's tayyib. Alaykum rahmatullah. Alaykum salam rahmatullah. هذا يريد كلمة حول وجوب طاعة الزوجة لزوجها. We're going to save that one till later. الليلة نحن في طلب العلم. ونعم الزوجة, a woman, she has to obey her husband. نعم. ولكن هو قدر الاستطاعة يا أخي. لا تكلفها ما لا تطيق. نعم. والزواج is not حقي حقق. نعم. When somebody comes in زواج, هو يريد يؤدي ويؤدي ويعطي ويكون صاحب شرف وكرم. نعم. Especially when he's the man. يعطي ما يدخل وين حقي كذا وين حقي هذا, and he just wants يسحب وهي تدخل في المارriage وهي I want my right, and everybody's in a tug of war getting their right. ما هو هكذا. تدخل وتعطي وأن الله سيعطيك. نعم. كل ما تعطي تأثر على زوجتك. كن كريم. أثر على زوجتك يا أخي. بكرمك، بشرفك، بصبرك، بحلمك. نعم. لا تصطدم بزوجتك. نعم. Don't say I have حق on you. You have to obey me. هذه كلمات ما هي بهذه الطريقة يا أخي. There's another way. نعم. Try to come from another angle. Try to convince her. Be soft. Be charming. And get into her heart. Say a charming word. Na'am. Be wise, be soft, be intelligent. It's your wife. Na'am. She's not your co-worker that you work with. You drive 4 hours and she has to drive 4 hours. That's not a co-worker, it's your wife. Na'am. Does a Muslim get rewarded for being patient with his Muslim brothers? Of course. For example, enduring their annoyance, forgive their wrongdoings. Na'am. And that's wajib. Na'am. وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً أَتَصْبِرُونَ. And we made you a test for one another. Some of you are test. أَتَصْبِرُونَ. Are you going to be patient? Na'am. Are you going to be patient? And sometimes the test that we're tested with are from the closest of people to us. From your wife, from your children, from your parents. So you have to be patient. And with that, تحتسب. فما يزال البلاء بالمؤمن والمؤمنة في نفسه ووالده وماله. These things is tested with. The fitna and the test doesn't trials and tribulations don't cease to be with the believer in his money, in his own self, in his own family. وَأَهْلِهِ حَتَّى يَلْقَى اللَّهِ لَيْسَ عَلَيْهِ خَطِيَّةٌ. Until he meets Allah, he has no sins on. Until he meets Allah. I mean, this is part of life. This is part of life. You have to be patient on one another, especially family. When you're not patient, يحصل مقاطعة. You cut one another off. How many families have family problems? ومقاطعة, and they don't speak to one another over more tafh, over things that are small. So you have to keep family ties. Call one another. Even if there's a problem, keep it short. I'm just calling to see how you're doing. Everything's all right? Type, let's call him ba'dain. Start off like that. Just sallim. Ayam al-Eid, you have to call. You have to sallim. Na'am. وَأَفْضَلُهُمَا مَنْ بَدَأَ بِالتَّسْلِيمِ. The Prophet ﷺ about the two people who cut one another off and make hijrah from one another. The best of them, the one who starts with taslim. Na'am. How do you make time for seeking knowledge while providing for your family? I mean, you have to figure it out. You have to try this, you have to try that. You have to make time. Do what's wajib, and then after that, take care of your family. Don't make like seeking ilm, this is what's mandatory, and whether I pay rent or not, or whether my family eat or not, or whether I can buy my wife new clothes or not, that don't matter. No, it does matter. Keep your wife comfortable. Don't overdo it, because you end up with nothing. No ilm, no family. Be wise. Be gentle. Don't go overboard. Women seeking ilm is not like men. Now, if you're going there with your wife, you're both going to seek ilm. Okay, you're a man. She's a woman. She gets pregnant. She has morning sicknesses. She has menses. She has cramps. She has problems. She has to take care of the kids. She's not like you. She's not going to seek ilm like you. You're a man. You have to keep those things in mind. Does marriage stop a person from seeking ilm? It can slow him down. He's not like a single person, but everybody gets married. They're married. But he has to manage his affairs. He has to manage his affairs. He has to seek help from Allah. نصائح من أجل ما فهمت هذا يا تربية الأبناء. نعم. We just spoke about that. هذا يحتاج تعاون from everybody. يحتاج تعاون من الجميع. It's important that we have Islamic schools. We have to have a school to send our kids to. Public school is not suitable. Antum adra, antum darun. Public school is not suitable. You have to ta'awan. You have to get together. You have to have a Muslim schools. You can't send your family to a school and say, okay, I'll see you later. Assalamu alaikum. They're getting out. Wal-kilab. Hakada. Yalhaf. Here comes your son, and here comes your daughter. Here comes that mutahajjiba. I think her name was Hofsa or Aisha or something like that. You're going to leave your daughter going over there like that? You can, okay, assalamu alaikum. I'll see you later. I'll be back at 3 o'clock. And they're like, yo, her pops is gone. Yo, he gone. His car, he gone. You can't do that. You have to put him in a nice environment every day. Now, وَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ. Who's أهل الذِّكْر? The people of knowledge. The ulama, the people who know. The ulama. حكم تربية الأبناء. لمن أمكنه الهجرة إلى بلاد المسلم. الهجرة is good. الهجرة is واجب لمن لا يستطيع أن يقيم دينه. والذي يستطيع أن يقيم دينه فهو مستحب. Hijrah is wajib for those who can't establish their deen. That's not a simple statement. Liman yastaqim yuqimuddin. It's not a simple statement. Na'am. But hijrah is something that is not more easy said than done. Na'am. So if somebody travels overseas, I don't advise them to intend hijrah by going overseas. Because wherever you go, that country these days is upside down. Government is upside down. Moderates, they don't give you a new visa and you're coming back. When somebody makes a hijrah, they left that country. You took this country and you left it for Allah. You can't take it back whenever you want to. You can't go back to the country that you made hijrah to. You left it for Allah. You can't take it back when you want to. So it's better to go, and Sheikh Muqbil and Sheikh Yahya used to advise the students when they leave to go with the niyyah of seeking ilm. Something may happen, you have to come back. You come back and you're fine. Or go with the niyyah of firaran min al-fitan, that you're fleeing from the fitna. فجاء في صحيح في مسلم في صحيح مسلم في البخاري ومسلم. I think it's from the hadith of Anas or Abu Hurairah. أن أعرابي سأل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الهجرة فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ويحك إن الأمر هجرتي لشديد. And this is Sahabi. Sahabi asked the Prophet about hijrah, and the Prophet said, ويحك, woe upon you. Really, the matter of hijrah is shadid. Imam al-Nawawi قال أن النبي خشي عليه أن لا يصبر. The Prophet was afraid that he would be patient. فقال هل لك من إبل? Do you have camels? فقال نعم. فقال تبقى in your area over there, and then come visit us sometimes and go back to your area sometimes. نعم. فإن كان النبي يخشى على هذا الصحابي في زمنه ما بالك في زماننا هذا. If the Prophet ﷺ was afraid for this person, then what about us? Does that mean that I'm saying don't go? Go, but not with the niyyah of hijrah. Not with the niyyah of hijrah. Because when you go over there, most of the people that I know, or many of the people that I know that intended hijrah, they ended right back where they came from. So it's better, it's not good to die in the land that you made hijrah from. No, it's not good. So it's better to leave for the niyyah of talab al-ilm, or the niyyah of firar min al-fitna. So if something happens, look at the Muslim world. Every country in it has difficulties in getting a visa. There's turmoil in the country. Where are you going to go? So you go there. If something happens and you have to come back, you come back until you get yourself together, find another place to go. Or when you come back, you're not in any sin. Allahu ta'ala a'lam. This is the last question. Allah khairan, tafsir al-hadith.
جزاك الله خير وأحسن إليك. تفسير حديث
أنت ومالك لأبيك. Now هذا الحديث أنت ومالك لأبيك, it explains the right of the father that they have. And if your parents are the reason for your existence in the life of this world, they are the reason for that. Nah. And they have right to your money if they're in need of it. But a son owns his money. It is his money. Nah. And it's not right for the father just to take the son's money when he's not in need of it. Nah. But, for example, somebody, if he gives sadaqah, you can't give sadaqah to who? To your parents. Like, you can't give sadaqah to your parents. You have to take care of them. That's your responsibility. Nah. And if your father has a need, his need is paramount. His need is first. Nah. And he has rights. And this is for the mother and the father. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Inshallah, we're going to stop here. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.